She was once a barefoot girl peeking through a classroom window, the daughter of a madwoman, rejected by society, forgotten by the world. But today, she's no longer sleeping on the streets or hiding from police whistles in alleyways. She's back in school. Only this time, it's not the kind with rusted roofs or chalkless boards. No, this time she sits in a classroom with air conditioning, uniforms pressed by someone else, and textbooks that smell like possibility. All of it under the care of a powerful billionaire. While her mother, broken by madness and memory, receives treatment in one of the country's finest psychiatric hospitals. But is this her fairy tale ending? Will her mother ever recover? Will Skolola finish her education? Or will Chief Agu, like Auntie Linda before him, disappear just when she's learning to trust again? Strap in. This story isn't for the faint of heart. And if you're just tuning in, hit subscribe, press like, and don't forget to tap the bell icon. Because this isn't just a story. It's a journey. One that might change you. The courtroom was quiet. Not the kind of quiet you find in libraries or graveyards, but the charged stillness of something important unfolding. Skolola sat on the long bench between Chief Agu and Jessica. Her hands were folded tightly in her lap, sweaty and unsure. Her heart drummed against her chest like a war cry. She wore a plain navy dress, ironed stiff, her shoes, her first ever pair of real leather flats, pinched her toes. But today wasn't about comfort. It was about destiny. Everything around her felt too large, too official. The tall wooden panels, the polished floors, the lawyers in stiff suits, the click of a journalist's camera shutter, the lazy spin of an old ceiling fan above. She was just a girl from Mile 12. A girl who once bathed in gutter water. A girl who once wrote letters in the dirt with a stick. What was she doing here? Skolola Olu, the judge said. She flinched. Yes, sir, she whispered. The judge was older, his glasses slipping down the bridge of his nose, but his voice was even, almost kind. Do you understand why we're here today? Yes, sir. Chief Agu wants to adopt me. The judge studied her for a moment. And how do you feel about that? She looked at Chief Agu. He didn't speak, didn't move, just gave her a nod. Firm, steady, the kind of nod that said, "You're safe now." She turned back to the judge. I feel like, she swallowed. I feel like I'm finally home. The judge leaned forward slightly. No one's forcing you into this. You're choosing this yourself? She took a breath, looked at Jessica, who beamed like a lighthouse, and then back at the man who had taken her in, fed her, clothed her, trusted her. No one forced me, she said louder now. I choose him. A hush fell. A legal hush, the kind that folds over a courtroom like a closing curtain. The judge gave a faint nod. By the authority vested in this court by the state of Lagos, I hereby approve the petition of Chief Maxwell Agu to adopt the minor, Skolola Olu, into his legal and rightful custody. Then came the sound. Bang! The gavel hit the wood, and something inside her cracked wide open. Later, Skolola would try to describe that moment to herself. What broke? What gave way? What healed? But in truth, it was simple. The invisible walls she'd built around her heart all her life had finally come down. She was no longer nobody. She was not just the girl behind the window or the daughter of the madwoman. She was Skolola Agu, daughter of a billionaire, daughter of hope. Tears spilled before she could stop them. Jessica lunged across the bench and hugged her, hard. We're sisters now, she whispered, sobbing. We always were, Skolola replied. Outside the courthouse, the press swarmed like ants to honey. Microphones in faces, camera flashes going off like fireworks. Chief Agu, why adopt a street girl? Skolola, how do you feel today? Jessica, what does this mean for your family? None of it mattered. Chief Agu raised one hand and said only this. She is my daughter, and I'm proud of her. That was the only headline that needed to be written. That evening, the Agu mansion was lit with warm yellow lights and quiet celebration. No formal party, no red carpet, just balloons in the living room, trays of peppered chicken, and jollof rice fragrant with spices. Even the housekeeper, who once frowned at Skolola's bare feet, now smiled as she handed her a wrapped gift. Jessica pulled her toward the dining room. On the table sat a cake, round, white, elegant. It read, "Welcome home, Skolola Agu." She stared at it, speechless. She had never had a birthday cake before. Not one with her name on it. Not one where people waited for her to cut it. Jessica handed her a knife. Cut it, she said. Let's celebrate your new life. But Skolola hesitated. She turned to Chief Agu. Why me? She asked softly. Why not someone else? There are so many girls like me. Chief Agu stepped forward. He didn't speak immediately. When he did, his voice was low, calm. Because when I found you, you had nothing, but you gave everything. You gave Jessica laughter. You gave me a second chance to be a father. And you didn't even know it. Skolola blinked. Her throat ached. I don't know how to be a daughter. Then we'll learn together, he replied. She nodded, then cut the cake. That night, long after the laughter had faded, Skolola stood alone on the balcony of her new bedroom. Above her, stars blinked like distant eyes. Below her, the mansion murmured with sleep. She wrapped her arms around herself. God, she whispered, I don't deserve this. But thank you. Then she made a promise. Not to Chief Agu, not to Jessica, to the stars, to the dirt she came from, to the girl she used to be. I won't waste it. I swear. Somewhere down the hallway, Jessica snored softly. Somewhere across town, her mother slept in a hospital bed, still calling the stars by the wrong names. And somewhere inside Skolola, for the first time in her life, peace bloomed. Real peace. Because she was no longer forgotten. She was no longer alone. She was home. If you thought her story ended with a gavel strike and a birthday cake, think again. Because while Skolola now had a home, a name, and a toothbrush with her initials engraved on it, life wasn't quite done testing her resolve. What do you do when your past starts leaking into your present? What happens when the world that once ignored you suddenly can't stop looking your way? Before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell for more stories that prove anything is possible, even when you start from nothing. Let's get back to it. The banners stretched across the hall like royal flags. National Spelling Bee Championship, the minds of tomorrow. Red carpet, camera flashes, journalists, nervous parents whispering prayers under their breath. And in the far left corner backstage, Skolola sat cross-legged on a bench, spelling silently in her mind. Her fingers tapped invisible syllables against her knee. C-O-N-Q-U-R-E-D, Y-M-P-T-I-O-N, I-N-T-L-L-I-G-I-B-L-E, words. That was her comfort zone now. Jessica leaned in beside her and whispered, Nervous? Skolola opened her eyes. Calm. Focused. No. Just ready. Jessica grinned. Then let's do this. For the mango tree. Skolola chuckled. For the mango tree. They were now in the top 5. Each competitor a walking billboard for Nigeria's elite private education. Iron blazers, school crests, and accents borrowed from YouTube tutorials. They smiled with the confidence of kids who never skipped lunch. Until they saw Skolola and Jessica walk on stage. The girl from the news, someone whispered in the crowd. Didn't she used to be homeless? The murmurs didn't matter. Skolola had seen worse than side eyes and judgmental glances. She looked into the front row. There, as always, sat Chief Agu. Calm, steady, his arms folded, wearing a gray kaftan like a man who had already won the war. He nodded once. She nodded back. The spelling rounds began. Children dropped like petals in the wind. One by one. A misplaced vowel. A missing consonant. Tears followed. Skolola stood her ground like a statue sculpted in patience. Her voice never wavered. Her memory? Impeccable. Philanthropy. Ecclesiastical. Ubiquitous. Correct. 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 Jessica stayed close behind her. Neck and neck. Matching her, word for word. The two girls became known as the Queens of Queen's Crest. And then it happened. The final round. Just 2 names remained. Jessica O. Skolola O. Best friends. Sisters. Now, competitors. Jessica stepped forward. The announcer adjusted his mic. Miss Jessica O. Your word is chiaroscuro. Jessica blinked. Chiaroscuro, she repeated softly. She took a breath. Chiaroscuro. A pause. Then, buzzer. The judge grimaced. Incorrect. There's no E at the end. Jessica exhaled slowly. No tantrum. No drama. She turned and gave Skolola a thumbs up. Pride, not envy. Now it was Skolola's turn. The hall went silent. The announcer leaned in. Miss Skolola O, if you spell this word correctly, you will be the national champion. Your word is epistemology. A gasp moved through the audience. The kind of word that melts confidence and bruises egos. Skolola didn't flinch. Epistmology. A heartbeat. Then, correct. The room erupted. Chief Aga stood and clapped. Jessica nearly tackled her in a hug. Photographers stormed the stage. She stood there frozen, the trophy in her hand, her old name echoing in silence. From a girl who wrote letters in dirt to the youngest national spelling bee champion in Nigeria, social media exploded. Skolola O, from street to spelling queen. Chief Aga's adopted daughter makes history. Black girl magic in real time. But not everyone celebrated. An anonymous user uploaded a photo. Skolola, barefoot, sitting beside her mother on a street corner, rags clinging to their skin like shame. Then the tweet started. She's a gutter girl. This is who we call a national hero. Chief Agu is embarrassing his legacy. Keep your orphans off national TV. Pity adoption for PR. The comments burned. That night, Jessica found Skolola sitting alone on the mansion balcony, scrolling through the hate. Turn it off, Jessica whispered. Skolola didn't. Why do they hate me for surviving? Jessica sat beside her. They hate what they can't understand. But what if they're right? She asked. What if I don't belong here? Jessica leaned in and hugged her. Then none of us do. Chief Agu joined them soon after. He didn't say anything at first. Just took her phone, gently placed it face down, and said, when I was your age, they called me a bush boy. Said I had no class, no future. Today, they stand in line to shake my hand. He looked at her directly. They laughed when you rode in the dirt. Now they're choking on your dust. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You already did the impossible. Skolola blinked back tears. It still hurts. I know, he said. But scars prove we've survived. Let them talk. Their noise is just proof you're rising. Jessica nodded. They're watching your feet because they're scared of your wings. Skolola smiled, then whispered, let's fly. The envelope was plain. No gold embossing. No fireworks. Just a return address. Global Scholars Program. Washington, D.C., USA. She had applied months ago. Quietly. Secretly. With the help of a teacher who believed in her. Over 18,000 students had applied from Africa alone. The odds? Ridiculous. But when she opened the letter, silence fell across the house. Jessica screamed first. Then the cook. Then even the housekeeper hugged her. She had done it. Accepted into one of the world's top STEM boarding programs. A full scholarship. Travel stipends. A laptop. A mentorship program that included professors from MIT, Oxford, and Harvard. When Chief Agu read the letter, he didn't smile. He just stared at it, then at her. Then walked away. Skolola froze. Had she upset him? She followed him to the backyard. To the mango tree. He stood there, hands behind his back. Do you know what I was doing at your age? He asked. She shook her head. I was selling kerosene on the roadside. Barefoot. Starving. He turned to face her. His eyes glassy. Full. You were in the dust, teaching my daughter from scraps. Now you're about to represent this country on a global stage. Tears spilled freely. I'm not just proud of you, Skolola, he whispered. I'm honored to know you. The next day, every news outlet carried her name. Homeless girl to global scholar. Nigeria's youngest genius heads to the U.S. Meet the future of Africa, Skolola O. UNICEF called. Celebrities reposted. A rapper even offered to pay for her travel wardrobe. But amid the celebration, something inside her trembled. What if she didn't belong? What if they mocked her accent? Her story? What if she failed? The night before her flight, she sat under the mango tree with Jessica. The same place where everything had begun. I'm scared, she whispered. Jessica braided her hair slowly. So was I when I first met you. They both laughed. Jessica looked at her. Promise me something? Anything. No matter how big your world gets, don't forget who you are. I won't, Skolola said. I'm the daughter of a madwoman, and the sister of the bravest girl I know. The next morning, the Agu convoy drove her to the airport. She wore a navy blue blazer with gold buttons, the uniform of the Global Scholars Program. In her bag was her passport, a worn-out notepad, and a photo of her and Jessica beneath the mango tree. Just before she walked into the terminal, Chief Agu pulled her aside. He handed her a black box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace. A mango leaf pendant. I had it made, he said, so you'll never forget where you came from. He fastened it around her neck, then hugged her tighter than ever before. My daughter, he whispered. Fly. And don't look back, unless it's to lift someone else up. She turned once before boarding. Jessica was crying, hand pressed to the glass. Chief Agu stood beside her, hand on her shoulder. Skolola pressed her palm to the window. I'll make you proud, she mouthed. Then the engines roared, and the girl who once had nothing took off. Not just into the sky, but into destiny. The knock wasn't loud. It wasn't desperate. It was calculated, like someone who already knew they would be let in. Musa, the longtime gatekeeper at the Egu residence, opened the hatch slowly. Outside stood a man in a wrinkled brown suit, worn shoes, and eyes far too familiar. I'm here to see Chief Egu, the man said. Your name? The man handed him an envelope. Give him this. He'll understand. Inside the envelope was a letter. No pleasantries. No titles. I am the biological father of Skolola. Her mother's name is Abini. I abandoned her years ago, but I have come for my child. I am ready to take her back now. Oladipo Akambi. When Chief Egu read it, he didn't speak for a long while. His hand, the same hand that had once lifted Skolola out of the dirt, began to tremble. Not from fear, from fury. He called her into the study that evening. Skolola stepped in, cheerful at first, until she saw the man seated across from Chief Egu. Tall, dark-skinned, with a crooked smile and an unsettling stare. He didn't look at her like a father. He looked at her like an investment. Chief Egu cleared his throat. Skolola, this is Mr. Oladipo. He claims to be your biological father. Silence stretched like taut rope. My what? She whispered. The man stood, nodded. You've grown. You look just like your mother. She took a step back. Jessica, standing in the corner, moved closer to her like a reflex. You abandoned us, Skolola said, her voice suddenly hoarse. I didn't abandon, Oladipo said coolly. I left. Big difference. Your mother, she wasn't stable. I couldn't raise a child in that chaos. You told her to abort me, she said. She told me. He shrugged. I was scared. I had nothing. I was young. And now, she snapped. Now I'm somebody. Now you come back? He spread his hands. I've come to take you home. Chief Egu stood. She has a home. Oladipo's eyes flashed. You think money makes you her father? You think adoption papers erase blood? I think love does, Chief Egu said quietly. You only showed up after the applause started. I don't want your money, Oladipo said. I want my legacy. But what he didn't say, what hung in the room like smoke, was clearer than anything else. He didn't want her. He wanted the headline. The legal battle that followed shook the city. Court filings, newspaper columns, Twitter wars. Some supported Oladipo. He made mistakes, but he's still her father. She has a right to know her roots. Others stood firmly behind Chief Egu. You don't get to reap a harvest where you refuse to sow. Blood doesn't raise a child. Love does. DNA tests were ordered. The results were clear. Oladipo Akambi was, indeed, her biological father. But the decision wasn't up to genes or gossip. The court would grant custody based on one thing only. Skolola's choice. The courtroom was full. Journalists packed the back row. Spectators held their breath. The judge, a tall man with salt in his beard, adjusted his glasses. Miss Skolola Egu, he said. Before the court rules, you may address the room. Who do you choose to be your legal guardian? Silence. Then footsteps. She walked forward. Tiny in size. Towering in presence. Wearing her queen's crest blazer with gold buttons. Her voice was quiet. Controlled. A blade wrapped in silk. When I was born, she began. One man gave me life and left. She paused. My mother begged him to stay. He walked away. Never looked back. Not when we starved. Not when we slept in gutters. Not when I held her hand in the middle of traffic while she screamed at the sky. Her eyes welled, but she didn't blink. I used to dream he'd come back. I'd imagine him hugging me, saying sorry. But he didn't come back until I won something. Until I was worth something. She turned to Oladipo. I forgive you, but I don't owe you my future. The courtroom stirred. Gasps. Whispers. She turned to Chief Egu. This man, she said, pointing gently, found me under a mango tree. I wasn't begging for help. I didn't even know I could ask. She placed her hand over her heart. He gave me a name, a bed, a toothbrush, a chance. Her voice grew stronger. He saw me when the world didn't, and he never asked for anything in return. Then she looked at the judge. So I choose him. I choose Chief Maxwell Egu, not because of his wealth or his fame, but because he loved me before I became lovable. One slow clap echoed in the gallery. Jessica, eyes glistening. Then others joined. The judge raised his gavel. This court hereby rules in favor of continued custody under Chief Maxwell Agu. All biological claims are closed. Bang. Done. Outside, the press swarmed. Skolola, do you believe blood is thicker than water? Are you choosing fame over family? What happens now with your real father? She raised her chin. Love is thicker than blood, she said, and walked straight into Chief Aga's arms. That evening, there was no champagne, no fireworks, just peace. Skolola sat on the living room couch, legs curled up under her, while Jessica braided her hair. I was scared, she whispered. Jessica grinned. You didn't look scared. You looked like a queen. Skolola smiled. But behind her eyes, she knew, the storm had passed. But it had left behind something stronger than fear. It had left behind certainty. She belonged. She was home. If you thought winning the courtroom would be the end of it, think again. Life doesn't hand out trophies for emotional survival. And sometimes the most brutal battles happen after the crowd goes home. This part of the story is quieter, more painful, but it's where the healing begins. So if you're just joining us, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and grab a tissue. Because what comes next? It's not about victory. It's about memory. 3 months had passed since Skolola boarded that plane to the U.S. Her life now ran on a schedule of science labs, dorm curfews, and late-night Zoom calls with professors from MIT and Oxford. She had officially become the girl from Nigeria, the one who survived the streets and spelled her way into global headlines. But while she studied neuropsychiatry, back home, someone else's mind was waking up. Her mother, Abini, the woman who used to scream at stars, who danced in traffic, who once didn't know her own name, was changing. It had started slowly. A blink at sunlight instead of a scream. A lullaby hummed instead of shouted. Dr. Aisha had warned that recovery would be slow and uneven. But the signs were undeniable. She's asking for plates, a nurse said once, stunned. Like she knows she exists again. By the 4th month, Abini was holding conversations. Simple ones, but real. By the 5th, she could recognize faces. And by the 6th, she asked the question no one expected. Where's my daughter? They called Chief Agu, and he called Skolola. The line was full of static, but the words came through clear. Your mother is asking for you. Skolola froze. She remembers? She doesn't remember everything, Chief said, but she's no longer lost. Tears blurred Skolola's vision. I'm coming home. The day she landed back in Lagos, the rain hadn't stopped. The sky wept like it knew what was about to unfold. Jessica was waiting with an umbrella. Skolola stepped out, clutching a bouquet of sunflowers, her mother's favorite flower, the one she used to mumble about in her sleep. They walked through the psychiatric ward slowly, past nurses who recognized her from headlines. A whisper followed them. That's the daughter of the mad woman. Skolola didn't flinch. They reached the visitation room. Abini sat by the window, braids neat, wrapped in a bright Ankara shawl. She was humming softly, eyes far away. Skolola stepped in. Mommy. Abini turned slowly. She blinked, tilted her head, then said, I'm sorry. Do I know you? Skolola's breath caught. It's me, it's Skolola. Your daughter. Abini frowned. My daughter died, she said gently. They told me she drowned in a gutter. No, Mommy. I'm here. You used to call me Princess. You sang Yoruba lullabies. We begged together at mile 12. Abini looked away, pressing her hand to her forehead. I don't remember. The bouquet slipped from Skolola's fingers. She sank to her knees. Jessica rushed in, wrapping her arms around her. It's okay, she whispered. She's trying. Give her time. But time didn't fix what had already broken. For 6 days, Skolola visited every morning. She brought Abini photos, cakes, a new wrapper, a small radio with lullabies. Each time, Abini would smile politely and say, You're very kind, dear. But I have no daughter. On the 6th day, something cracked. Do you know what I went through? Skolola burst out. I carried you across traffic while people threw stones at us. I bathed you in gutter water. I gave up food so you could eat. And now you don't even know me? Her mother blinked, unmoved. Jessica pulled her away before the tears could drown her. Outside, beneath a mango tree in the hospital garden, Skolola curled into herself. She's alive, but she's not my mother, she whispered. Jessica sat beside her. No, she's just healing. Minds don't heal like cuts. They heal like broken bones. Awkward, painful, slow. The night before she was due to return to the U.S., Skolola came for one last visit. Abini was singing to a flower in a vase. Even if you don't remember me, Skolola said softly, I will always remember you. She placed a framed photo in her mother's lap, one from Queen's Crest, under the mango tree. In it, they were laughing. Abini stared at the image for a long time. She looks like me, she said. Skolola smiled through her tears. She is you. Abini reached out and touched her cheek. You have a beautiful heart, my dear. Skolola placed her hand over her mother's. You gave it to me. As she walked out of the hospital, Skolola whispered a prayer. God, even if she never remembers me, just keep her safe. Keep her singing. That night, Chief Ega hugged her. She may not remember your face, he said, but the love you gave her, it's still in there. Somewhere. Skolola nodded. Maybe that's enough. To be continued. If you're still with us, drop a comment. What would you have done if your own mother forgot you? Hit like, subscribe, and stay close. Because in part 5, a ghost from the past comes knocking. And this time, he comes with legal papers. It started with a letter. Not an apology. Not a birthday card. But a claim. Signed with a name no one had spoken in years. Oladipo Akami. Skolola's biological father. The letter was short. Brutal in its simplicity. I am ready to take my daughter back. Let that sink in. The man who had vanished for over a decade. The one who told her mother to abort her. Now wanted her returned. Why? Because she'd made the news. Before we continue, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay with us. Because what's coming is not just a battle in court. It's a war for identity. Chief Egu read the letter in silence. His knuckles turned white. He didn't shout. He didn't throw it in the fire. He just said 3 words. Call Skolola in. When she entered the study, she saw the man sitting across from Chief. Tall, faded suit, crooked smile, and eyes like mirrors to a past she had tried to bury. Skolola, Chief said calmly. This is Mr. Oladipo. He claims to be your father. She froze. My what? Oladipo stood, examining her like a specimen. You've grown, he said. You look like your mother. She stepped back. How do you know her? He shrugged. She was mine. Until she went mad. Her voice cracked. You told her to abort me. He winced. I was scared. I was young. I had nothing. But now, he smiled, and it chilled the room. You're somebody. You're my child. I came to take you home. Chief Egu's voice sliced the air. She has a home. The man sneered. You think adoption papers erase blood? You think blood raised her? Chief Egu replied. You only showed up once the applause started. Oladipo's tone turned legal. If she doesn't come willingly, we can take this to court. She's a minor. I'm her father. Chief Egu nodded slowly. Then we'll let the court decide. And just like that, it began. A battle between blood and love. The media pounced like wolves. Newspaper, Street Girl's real father returns. Newspaper, Billionaire versus biological dad. Newspaper, who deserves custody. Some called Oladipo brave. He made a mistake, but he's trying to fix it. Others called him opportunist. Where was he when she slept in gutters? The court demanded DNA. The result, undeniable. Oladipo was her biological father. But custody? That would be decided by one voice. Hers. The courtroom was full. Reporters. Lawyers. Curiosity seekers. At the center stood Skolola. Not a barefoot girl anymore. But not untouched, either. Her fingers trembled. The judge adjusted his glasses. Miss Skolola, before we rule, you have the right to speak. Who do you choose? She looked left. Oladipo, in a suit clearly borrowed, with lawyers behind him like vultures. He looked proud. Not of her. Of himself. She looked right. Chief Egu. Calm. Silent. Waiting. She stepped forward. When I was born, she began. One man gave me life. But then he left. My mother begged him to stay. He didn't. He never checked on me. Not when I was starving. Not when I was sleeping in a gutter. Not when I begged for bread. I used to dream he'd come back. That he'd hug me. But he didn't. He only came back when I became worth something. She turned to Oladipo. I forgive you, sir. But I don't owe you my future. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. Then she turned to Chief Egu. This man found me under a mango tree. I was teaching his daughter with a stick in the dirt. He gave me a bed, a toothbrush, a name. He taught me what love is, with no strings attached. So I choose him. Not because he's rich, not because he's famous, but because he saw me. She faced the judge. I choose the man who gave me life. By loving me. The courtroom went silent. Jessica clapped once, quietly, then louder. Then the room erupted. The judge raised his gavel. This court rules in favor of Chief Maxwell Agu. Custody remains. Case closed. Outside, cameras exploded. Skolola, why reject your real father? What do you say to people who say blood is thicker than water? She didn't flinch. Love, she said, is thicker than blood. And walked into the arms of the only father she had ever known. There was no party that night. No cake. Just peace. Jessica and Skolola curled up on the couch like kids again. I was scared, Skolola whispered. Jessica smiled. You didn't look scared. You looked like a queen. 10 years passed. The dusty courtyard of Queen's Crest now had a golden plaque. In honor of Dr. Skolola Agu, from street to scholar. Inside the gala hall, chandeliers sparkled. Musicians played. 2 women stepped onto the red carpet. One in green, embroidered with gold thread, Dr. Skolola Agu, now 22. The other in deep navy, elegant and sharp, Barrister Jessica O. Student and teacher. Now equals. Now legends. Skolola had completed her medical degree with distinction. Not just any degree. Neuropsychiatry. She now walked hospital corridors healing minds, holding hands, and defending dignity. Jessica had become one of Nigeria's most fearless human rights lawyers. She fought for children accused of witchcraft, for abused prisoners. She was now known as the voice of the voiceless. But tonight wasn't about titles. It was about a foundation. The Mango Tree Foundation for Mental Health and Dignity. A dream built from scraps. Now a movement. Jessica spoke first. I was once called dumb, she said. Until a barefoot girl in rags taught me my mind wasn't broken. It just needed the right teacher. She turned to Skola. She was that teacher. Then Skolola stepped up. I was the daughter of a madwoman, she said. I was slapped in public. Laughed at while my mother begged. I never thought I'd wear a doctor's coat. Or open a foundation. But I'm here because one man saw me. And one mango tree became my classroom. Later, as guests danced, Chief Agu stood quietly in the courtyard, watching. He saw his daughters, Jessica in debate with a judge, Skolola laughing with doctors. He closed his eyes. Thank you, God, he whispered. You gave me daughters I never asked for. And I will spend my life protecting them. The next week, the first Mango Tree Clinic opened. Free therapy, meals, medication, and on one wall, a mural, a mango tree, 2 girls beneath it, one in a blazer, one in rags, both smiling. Above them, the words, wounds can teach what textbooks cannot. Dignity is a human right. On opening day, a familiar woman entered. A beanie, now stable, living in a group home, teaching art therapy. She paused at the mural. That's beautiful, she whispered. Looks like someone I used to know. Skolola smiled from behind the desk. She didn't correct her. She didn't have to. Because some memories don't live in the mind. They live in the heart. And so, the daughter of a madwoman healed the minds of a nation. And the girl once called dumb became the voice of the broken. Together, they didn't just change a school or a city. They changed the story. For good. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Share it with someone who needs to believe again. And remember, no one is too broken to be healed. Even under a mango tree.